I forbid my mother from bringing her boyfriend to my wedding, but she won't drop it. Trigger warning for substance abuse and dementia. So if you can't deal with that right now, please skip to the next story.
Why don't you just drop your man?
Ooh.
Drop him.
Drop it like it's hot.
I, 33, non-binary, am not close with my mother, 55, female, at all. She divorced my dad, 60, when I was 7, and almost immediately married my stepfather, Mark, whom, despite everything, I was close with. They remained married until I was 16. By the way, this comes from Throwaway for Me, 86. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. I was upset when she divorced him and went to live with my dad and stepmom. In my adult life, I've chosen to remain close to my stepdad and even attended his wedding to his current wife, who is a very nice woman. My dad and my stepmom are great people. Since her divorce from my stepdad, my mom has been in and out of relationships, each time claiming that this guy is the love of her life until they do something she doesn't like, and suddenly they aren't the love of her life anymore. Both divorces with my dad and my stepdad were for very petty reasons. My dad, I think because he wouldn't allow her to get a new car since the budget was tight. I believe the longest relationship she had lasted about 6 years, and according to my sister, she's still with that guy. After I left home, she never did anything with me without bringing her boyfriends along. When I was 25, she broke up with her boyfriend and tried to cry to me about it. After working with my therapist, I set a boundary with my mother. If she wasn't willing to do anything with me without her boyfriend, then not to bother. And I didn't want to talk about her love life. She was very hurt and we fell out for a while, but she came back around about a year later and has respected my rules since. However, we only get together about 3 or 4 times per year. I understand that my mom's relationships and love life are important to her, so I respect that we don't see each other often. Fast forward to this year. I'm getting married to my partner, 35 male, of a decade in October. It's a small, intimate backyard wedding and reception barbecue.
Oh boy.
We live in a rural area, and our backyard wedding will have roughly 40 people. My dad, stepmom, stepdad, and his new wife have all been invited. My mom asked if she could bring her boyfriend. I said no, because I don't know him. She then asked if she could introduce him to me before the wedding so I could meet him beforehand. I said no again, explaining that I still had no interest in meeting her boyfriends. She said she understood, but felt it was unfair that I wasn't allowing her a +1 to my wedding when my dad and stepdad were allowed to bring their spouses.
Oh, hey. One of those things is not like the other, yeah?
Well, she has been with this man for 6 years.
This boyfriend?
This boyfriend.
This boyfriend?
Yeah, this boyfriend.
Are we sure?
Yes.
I don't remember that. They said that?
Yeah. They said
it was a late night, everybody, okay? She went to sleep before I did.
Okay, an hour and a half
before both of us, actually.
And now, you know.
An hour and a half.
No. When did you go to sleep? It doesn't matter. What matters is that, no, Mom, you can't bring your boyfriend because something's going to happen with your boyfriend, okay? And then all of a sudden, I'm going to have to talk to you about your boyfriend.
I think...
Fool me once.
I'm gonna get to the end of this, and then I'll have more thoughts. I told her the difference was that I actually knew their spouses. She wanted to know why I was so adamant about refusing to get to know her boyfriend. I explained that I saw no need since she would just break up with him and move on to someone else eventually, as she always had before.
Okay, that's pretty brutal.
That's harsh.
That's pretty brutal.
That's
you
harsh.
Don't say that. That's too mean. That's mean. Don't say
harsh.
That. Inside thought.
She started to cry and told me I was being unreasonable and treating her as if she were an oar. Both my fiance and my sister feel like I should suck it up for one day and let her bring her boyfriend so she can be comfortable there. I'm seriously considering it, but I wanted to know if I'm the a-hole here for sticking to my boundary at my wedding and what your thoughts are. And there is an update, but
Your thoughts, what are they?
I'm a little mixed right now because...
But you're a little bag of mixed greens.
I'm more mixed nuts.
Mixed nuts?
Yeah, like a trail mix
That
right
is
now.
more variety.
Yeah. I think it seems like OP has a lot of, like, kind of built up resentment from her childhood of seeing her mom kind of break it off with, like, important people in her life. And I feel like that is coming out here a lot. And I don't know if all of it is necessarily fair. I think that she is allowed to ban anyone or not invite anyone from her wedding. If she doesn't want this man, if she just wants like any, like, people that she knows, that's fine. But I don't think that she necessarily had to say that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she could have said, you know
That was
what, I wanted to keep it to people that are really close to me.
Yeah.
And just that.
There's a way to navigate that where you didn't have to slam dunk so hard on your mom.
Yeah.
You know, she brought up like, well, I don't think it's fair. I don't have a +1. You can be like, you do have a +1, actually. You can bring someone else. I just don't want you to bring your boyfriend. You can bring a friend. If you really feel like you're going to be that uncomfortable at your own daughter's wedding, that you need like a safety blanket there of like a guest that you brought.
Oh, and also Skylar Rand
go ahead and bring a friend.
OP is non-binary. Thank you. Yeah.
But hey, don't bring a boyfriend.
Yeah. I think there is a world where, especially because everyone else is saying like, they can bring their boyfriend. I don't like. I feel like it would be okay if OP met the boyfriend.
But like, if I don't care about the boyfriend,
but also
I'm not
have
gonna like bring him to my wedding.
I feel like you don't have to. I feel like there's a world where you could go either way. But
you don't have to be spiteful
you don't have to be so,
about it.
You don't have to be so harsh.
Yeah.
I think either way, whatever you choose, approach it with a little bit of kindness. Because it's not like your mom is, it doesn't seem like she was insisting on it. She was just saying like, hey, can I bring my boyfriend? And then you were like, no, because you... but I think at the end of the day, OP can invite or not invite anyone. That is their choice. Update. After reading everything here, I've decided to email my mother and invite him. Okay. Well, there we go. They made the decision.
Okay.
I was already leaning towards telling her that he can come when I posted. I decided to set some ground rules for my mother. He is there as a +1 to my mother only. I made it clear to her that he is not my family and he is not my stepfather, so I will appreciate her not telling other people at the wedding he is my stepfather. Mark is my stepfather and he will be there. He is not to be in any family photos, in fairness. My stepdad, Mark, won't be in any family photos either. Only my mom, dad, stepmom, and my siblings. He is not to approach me at any point during the wedding and reception. This does not change my previous boundaries. I'm only allowing him to come for her own comfort and to create a sense of fairness. I respect the fact she is in a relationship, but that her love life has nothing to do with me, and I wish to keep it that way. I told my mother that these are my terms for him being at my wedding, and my terms are final, and that I hope she can respect the fact that I'm trying to be reasonable. I used this opportunity to remind her the reasons I put the boundary up in the first place. These reasons include forcing me to do activities with her shorter-term boyfriends in the past, forcing me to only discuss her love life while showing no interest in my life, and putting her relationships above her own children. If she responds, I'll let everyone know. And there is a second update. And Nicole H. says they don't want their mom's boyfriend because they know she's just going to break up with him soon and does not want him in the pictures. I think that is what OP's thinking, clearly, because it's kind of what they said.
Are we sure they dated for 6 years?
That's what OP's sister said. OP's sister said that her mom has been with this guy for...
But like on and off?
It just said 6 years. Like the sister said, she was like, yeah, mom's been with her with him for 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think that, OP's seen this pattern, so they know a little bit better. Skylar Rand says, wait, didn't OP like one of the step-parents? Why don't they want them in the pictures? I think they just want, like, core family in the pictures.
They did have the stepmom in, but not the stepdad. So maybe stepmom's closer than stepdad.
Well, stepmom is still in a relationship with OP's dad.
Yeah.
Stepdad is no longer technically stepdad. He's like ex-stepdad, but still stepdad.
Why
in their
is
heart.
he there?
Because
what's going on?
Because OP loves their stepdad.
Then why isn't he in the picture?
Update 2. My mom called me within 10 minutes of getting the email. She thanked me for allowing him to come and said they would abide by my terms. She said she felt really hurt that during her actions during her midlife crisis are why I'm refusing to meet her current boyfriend, who she says she's been with for 7.5 years, so even longer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Where's the ring?
I do think, well, I don't know.
Where's
maybe
the ring, Batman?
Maybe she doesn't want to get married because she's already done that twice, and it's, she's like, let's be certain for, before we do that.
Well, I guess they're making sure.
Yeah.
It looks like Biff from Back to the Future.
I look like Biff.
Yeah. It would be kind of rough, though, to not meet your mom's partner of 7.5 years. you know? Like, I understand that OP's gone through a lot with their mom, but
I
yeah.
don't see him a lot.
Like, surprising
I
that
don't
you
see
haven't
your
met
mom
him
a lot.
once in 7.5 years.
Yeah.
And that she thought things would eventually calm down enough where I would be comfortable meeting him. She said she now realizes that it will never happen. I told her that I'm firm on my stance. I think she started to cry, but she said she understood and only wants him there because being around my dad and stepdad and their new wives. Well, my dad has been married for 23 years and my stepdad for 12, makes her anxious and he helps keep her calm. She said she respects my stance and said it's her own fault I feel this way. I felt this may be the start of a guilt trip, so I politely ended the call. And there is another update. Any other thoughts before we jump into it?
Yeah. I wonder, like, why is that? It's a choice. 7.5 years not meeting that guy. That's a distinct choice.
That'll be
So,
vacant.
like,
Yeah.
what? There has to be like some kind of like trauma around.
Well,
That
I think there
dynamic
absolutely
in
is.
that relationship.
I think
so.
OP has said multiple times, like, I was devastated when the first divorce, and then I was devastated about the second divorce, and then I was having to meet all these people that I didn't, know, and they weren't around long.
Yeah.
and-
So on that level, it also makes sense. It's like, why would I want a reminder that my mom has divorced and like left people?
yeah.
At
Who were
my
important?
own-
yeah.
At my wedding, where
Yeah.
I'm committing to be with this one person.
Which is fair.
I don't know.
But let's get into the update. Cynthia says, I feel like the mom is going to pull something. Uh-oh. Hopefully not.
John, we're going to get back to the story, but I got to tell you, I've been loving these pearls that I got in Colombia.
You are a delicious beaded man now.
I do feel more confident at the very least, but I think these pearls pale in the amount of confidence an OK Storytime membership can get you.
That's right. You get 60 plus hours a month of exclusive live stream content. That's advice that'll make you the best version of yourself.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Crack open that oyster and get the blues. But let's get back to the story.
My fiance, 35 male, and I, 33 non-binary, are getting married in 2 weeks in our backyard. We will be having a catering spread for our reception afterwards. We decided to have a dry wedding for 2 reasons. My mom is a heavy drinker who is known for making a scene when she gets wasted, and my fiance has a brother who binge drinks and has booze poisoning on more than one occasion. Ooh. He doesn't drink all the time, but if he starts, he can't stop until he either passes out or someone physically restrains him from getting more. Yikes. This is...
Well, that's a
the fiance's brother.
substance abuse problem.
Yeah.
Damn.
I also have an uncle, mom's brother, and a stepdad who are in recovery and don't need the temptation. Neither fiance and I are big drinkers, so we decided to just avoid any problems and just have a dry wedding. We will have a less dry reception, party, honeymoon with some of our friends later on. All of our families have been supportive. My uncle was especially grateful to us for doing this since he takes his recovery very seriously and has been 7 years sober. I sent out wedding invitations 4 months ago and said it would be a dry wedding and asked people not to bring booze. Now, today, I get this call from my mom. I also sent an invitation to 4 months ago. Mom,
is it true you're not having booze at your wedding?
yes, fiance and I decided we didn't want booze during our special time.
Ugh, that's so silly. It's gonna make your wedding boring.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but fiance and I have made our decision. We want everyone to feel comfortable at our wedding.
Well, clearly you don't care about my comfort. What if I want to have a little drinky poo to pass the time?
Like you did at different uncle's wedding? When you got so wasted and made a horrible scene calling uncle's wife a gold digger?
That wasn't my fault. They make the drinks there too strong.
Right. I really wish you would address this need to have booze wherever you go.
I don't need to have booze. I just think your wedding will be boring without it, and you want to have a fun wedding, don't you?
It will be a fun wedding. We don't need to have booze to have fun.
This is so stupid. Why should everyone else be punished just to make it comfortable for a few people? It seems like you care more about your uncle and stepdad than anyone else.
Or maybe I just want to avoid any scenes.
I just told you. That wasn't my fault. They mixed the drinks too heavy there.
Just like your DUI isn't your fault.
Whoa. that was the cop's fault for pulling me over. Now, how dare you bring up that difficult time in my life? I was going through a lot emotionally. What the heck is wrong with you kids? You need to mind your own business. If I want to drink, that's my business.
Well, my wedding is my business. We don't want booze there. That's final. I can't stop you if you decide to pregame my wedding, but I've already made it clear to uncles and brothers that if you cause a scene, that you're to be made to leave.
Why do you kids hate me so much? What did I ever do to be deserved to be treated like this by my children?
Are you really ready for me to go down that list?
None of you understand. None of you will ever understand. I'm the mother of the bride. I should be treated better than this. You should let me drink all the alcohol I want.
What are you, the
I
Green
think I've
Goblin?
treated you pretty well during this process. I've acquiesced to your boyfriend, whom I didn't even know was coming to my wedding. I've even given in to some of your other demands, so please, tell me, have you been mistreated?
Well, you didn't invite me to go dress shopping. And the mother of the bride always goes dress shopping with her daughter. I barely know fiancé because you never bring him around me. How do I know that you're marrying the right person?
That's because Aunt made my dress.
Well, isn't that just special?
As for the rest, I think you know why. We aren't really close enough for you to have any say in who my significant other is. Honestly, Mom, I'm done with this conversation. If you really feel strongly about this, I'll understand if you don't want to attend my wedding.
Oh, I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you? One way or another, you will respect me as your mother.
Sure, Mom. I'm hanging up now. Bye.
No, don't clap. I broke character. That was bad.
Guys, I'm so livid right now. I have half a mind to uninvite her. I spoke to my dad and her brother. My uncle thinks her drinking is getting really bad again and has been wanting to hold an intervention. I told him I'm focused on the wedding right now, but that I definitely agree this was out of line and something needs to be done. What do? I don't want her ruining my wedding, but I'm so tired of dealing with this. Sorry, this is probably above Reddit's pay grade, but I just needed to vent. And there is another update. Man.
Update. My mom came to my wedding and drank 3 handles of Tito's.
Someone said in the chat, OP should hire security so that no one can bring anything unwanted into the wedding, which I think is a good idea, if you can.
I don't know if security will, be effective at that.
How so?
You know, people can sneak in a flask.
But if you don't tell anyone that there's
people who really
security,
want to, we'll figure out how to.
Sure, but
that's in a limited amount. And
yeah.
You have your literal own little thing. Great.
Exactly. You can only have a little bit.
Yeah, no harm, no foul.
I
for
think
the most
most
part.
people will just respect that, and then just if your mom is clearly visibly intoxicated, you can just be like,
get out of here. Well, in which case, security would help get her out of there.
Yeah. Have security throw her
out. But there is an update.
Rake in the lake.
I sent a text reiterating the rules. She said she knows where she isn't welcome and said she won't attend. My dad told me not to worry about this anymore and that he'll see to it she doesn't ruin my wedding. And I sent this text to my mom. Mother, at this point I'm going to officially uninvite you from my wedding. I'm not going to allow you to change your mind, and I prefer it if you not come to my wedding at all, given your poor behavior. At this point, I've decided I don't want any further contact with you unless you decide to curb your toxic behaviors and drinking. I wish you the best. I hope you can find a way to heal, but I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry if this hurts you, but I can't handle you in my life anymore. If you try to force the issue, I'll be forced to take legal action up to and including contacting law enforcement. Please don't contact me again.
Wow.
Hoo-wee.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's official.
It's freaking official. I want to delete her from my Facebook page only to find a post that she had just written saying about how being a mother is a thankless job and how she doesn't understand how she's raised rude and judgmental kids. She ended it by saying she hopes her kids get over themselves someday. I'm done. This sucks, but it's been a long time coming. My head hurts. And there is another update. But any thoughts on that text? Uninvited from the wedding.
It seemed like a well-formulated, well-thought-out kind of little guy.
So.
It definitely didn't feel good to send it.
I'm sure it didn't.
But
that's a really hard text to send to someone who you wanted to be in your life and you've been trying to have in your life, and she just keeps pushing those boundaries.
Yeah, she even gave her the green light to pregame. She's like, you can drink before.
They? OP?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the mother doesn't care. She just wants to make ruckus. But there is an update.
Raucous.
Firstly, I want to thank everyone for the support. You have no idea how much your love and constructive comments mean to me. I'm glad I'm not alone. It's not a huge update, but I guess my grandparents and uncles have had enough. They've decided to stage an intervention next weekend.
Oh, that's a good. Hey, that's good. That's good.
Well, it seems like the whole wedding fiasco pre-drama has kind of incited this, so that's something good that came out of it.
Something.
If she refuses to get help, she will no longer be welcomed at family events, and she will no longer be a part of the family. They told me not to worry about it. My sister will go, as she's the only one of her children that even has a real relationship with her. But even my sister said that if she doesn't get help, she will cut her off too. I'm hoping and praying this works, but given that she spent 1 year in rehab and the second she was off probation chose to drink again, doesn't give me a lot of hope. My dad told me he's hiring the local biker gang to act as security.
It's
fun.
Probably effective.
I guess so. I don't know. Are they just going to sit on their bikes?
Yeah.
They're going to form a line of bikes.
Can you do that? Can you just
the
hire a
front of the
local
church?
biker gang?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Do you just go up to them and you're like, "Hey, I'd like
You're
to
not
hire
saying
you for
it
your
right,
services?"
Keon. You just walk into the
Yeah.
bar.
And you say, "Hey, any bikers around
And you
here want to
say,
get rough?"
Flynn. No, I'm sorry. It's over. Yeah, you walk in like the SpongeBob scene where I can't remember it.
Okay.
My brain's not working.
We live in a small town, and the nearest big city is about an hour away, so it would be really expensive to have a security company come out. I don't have a problem with that. This is the type of gang that helps out mistreated kids and animals, and they do a lot of good where I live. They just freaking ride on bikes, and they help the community.
Yeah, and they find an alien in their backyard.
I've not seen this movie.
And you haven't seen E.T.?
Oh, I have. Oh, but I thought you were talking about like a biker gang.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know they
Yeah,
This
we're
is a bunch
talking
of
about
kids on bikes.
Guys,
we're talking about the movie Old Dogs, and we don't talk about that movie anymore.
Okay. The worst I've heard about them is they doled out some rural justice to a guy that was beating up the sister of one of the members and ran him out of town. Well, that's a good review.
I like that.
When my mom got her DUI, she ran into someone's house and car. When she tried to back out, no one was hurt, thank goodness. And I guess it was the house of a relation of someone in the gang, so they agreed to help. They're like, "Oh, yeah, that woman? We'll keep her out."
Oh, that one? Oh, we know her.
And my dad is paying them to be security just in case. They know my family. One of my dad's cousins is a member. And they know my mom. I think she dated a guy in the gang at one point, and what to look out for. It may be moot if she ends up in rehab. I'm not stressing about her anymore. I have 13 days until my wedding. I'm going to focus on the final touches and just enjoy myself. My biological mom made her choices. Now that I've stood up for myself, I feel nothing but relief. My stepmom will be there, and I see her more as my real mom, so it's all fine. I've been through a lot of therapy already, so I've had to make peace with how my actual mother is. And there is another update. Wee-wee. Kaylee Von Compen says there was a group of bikers called Sober Souls in Denver that held AA meetings, and it was the coolest group I've ever met.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Everyone's
I
calling
love
it's a
that.
biker club.
Biker club?
Biker club?
So a club.
You mean a gang?
Oh, can we not say that?
I don't know.
No, it's like it's.
Or
just,
were you
there's-
talking about ET?
I think there's a difference, like when you zoom in, but zoom out. It's like most people don't know the difference between like it's. I think they prefer club because it's like there's no criminal associations.
Oh, interesting.
Because not all biker clubs commit crimes. Some do.
Some of
those would
them
be
just
gangs, but
It's
some of
such
them
a
just
funny.
ride
It's kind of a funny
bikes.
concept though. A biker gang. You know?
Yeah, have you seen Sons of Anarchy?
No, but it's kind of a funny concept. Like a bunch of like people who really like riding motorbikes.
Riding bikes, committing crime.
What do you
They
mean
like
not? What do you
found
mean?
each other and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
They
we
like-
don't like
wear
riding bikes."
Sophia, they wear matching jackets.
They wear match like that's a freaking club, man. They all wear matching jackets.
They have freedom and they get to just ride
They
around.
just ride around
They have
town.
freedom. They rob
in a group.
banks.
They have like a uniform pretty
collect
much.
security deposits.
That's practically. I mean, I don't know what. I'm not agreeing with whatever Dakota's saying. I'm just saying it seems like a fun time.
Those are the gangs.
Well, I'm talking
Clubs
about.
are like,
I'm talking about just the
If
group.
you see a 1%
let's
patch
The
beat
on the
biker
up that
groups.
guy
way.
who hit
Oh.
that girl. Down for that.
And there we go.
See?
But there is an update. I don't think I'd be back so soon, but it's my mom's world and we all just live in it. My mother had 911 called on her for domestic violence on Tuesday. Oh my God. She apparently started throwing wine bottles at her boyfriend, who locked himself in the bathroom and called the cops while she destroyed their place in one of her temper tantrums. She wasn't making any sense when the cops got there, so they restrained her and took her to the hospital. She's been stuck in the psychiatric ward ever since.
Oh my Lord.
Jeez. Yeah, definitely a good idea to not have this woman at your wedding.
I would have bet $10,000. I bet $10,000 that there was silly drinks involved in that incident.
I mean, that she was throwing the silly drinks, so.
That's why I'm betting $10,000.
My sister was listed as a contact for her and got the call about my mom on Wednesday. The doctors at the hospital spoke to my sister and believe she may be showing signs of alcohol-related dementia and some sort of psychotic disorder, like bipolar disorder. They currently have her in booze detox, and from what my sister was told, it's pretty bad. They won't allow her visitors until she's out of detox. Not that anyone really has a desire to visit her anymore. My sister and I decided enough was enough, and at the request of a social worker who interviewed my sister, my uncles, and my grandparents and myself, we petitioned for guardianship yesterday. A guardianship means they can hold her while it winds through her system rather than releasing her after 72 hours. My grandmother is upset as she thinks all of these issues should be kept within the family and that the state shouldn't step in. That's so stupid. My uncles and grandfather, however, support the guardianship. As far as they're concerned, she's no longer welcome in the family and they won't allow her to continue taking advantage of anyone anymore. Really quick, it's kind of I understand that a lot of people, like families, do this. But like for the grandmother to say, oh, we have to keep it in the family, that hasn't been working at all.
Yeah.
Like she got to this point, not saying she was in the care of the family, but I mean, that's how she got to this point. She didn't have anyone there. So
It's not effective enough, clearly.
No. My sister and I say, let her be a professional's problem and let them figure out what to do with her. My brothers don't care and have effectively washed their hands of her years ago. So their stance is whatever keeps her as far away as humanly possible. We can't deal with her anymore, and why should we? With the guardianship petitioned, I'm working on washing my hands of this situation entirely. I'm sure I'll be interviewed about why a guardianship is necessary, but other than that, I don't plan to have any further contact with my mom unless she apologizes and makes amends for her behavior, if that's something she's even capable of anymore. I just don't see that happening, and any compassion or understanding I had for her in the past is gone. Whatever state her life is in, she brought it on herself. I just want to move on with my life without her in it and be done with her for good. It doesn't look like she'll be released from the hospital anytime soon, so there's no risk of her attending my wedding. I did talk to her boyfriend yesterday after sister and I filed our paperwork, and we decided to invite him to lunch. He's decided to break up with her for good, and we learned just how bad things were with her. He's a really nice guy who's been caught up in a bad situation and had no clue how bad she could be. I feel really bad for him. I did decide to invite him to my wedding, as I can tell he's a lonely dude who's been to heck and back.
The boyfriend? Or is this... No, this is a previous, right? No?
I did
Previous?
That's... No. I did talk to the mom's boyfriend.
He's been with her for 7.5 years.
He
You
decided
think he
to
doesn't
break
know
up
about
with-
this?
And
think
we
he
just
doesn't know
learned...
about this?
No. And had no clue how bad she could be. I wonder if this is the worst the mom's ever been in his presence. Possibly.
Maybe.
If this is, or maybe this is just the breaking point.
Maybe.
Dude, I do think it's kind of ironic, maybe not funny, but ironic, that OP is inviting him to the wedding.
Yeah, after all that.
After all of that, she's like, yeah, you can come to the wedding. Like, Opie is collecting her mother's exes just one at a time.
Yeah, like infinity stones.
Not sure he'll show, but the offer's there. There was a time I'd have allowed an event like this to ruin the run-up to the wedding, but I've been able to separate my mom's behavior from the wedding. It hasn't put a damper on it. Now that my mom is squared away, I can enjoy myself. I just put the final touches on the catering order and am expecting the last of my supplies. My aunt wants to put the final touches on my wedding attire. If I haven't mentioned, both fiance and I are huge steampunk fans, and so we're wearing steampunk attire and encouraging everyone else to dress in steampunk.
Sick. That's
That
cool.
sounds like a sick wedding. Not required, though. You need to make it required.
Steampunk's a little bit of a hard thing.
I'm having a Renaissance wedding, and everyone's required to dress up Renaissance.
I'm coming as a dragon
Easy.
then.
Easy steampunk.
Okay, we got to do Renaissance.
Steampunk tutorial.
You
Ready?
can come out dragon inspired.
Vest.
No, I'm gonna be a
welding
dragon.
goggles.
Then you
I'm
can't
coming
come
as
to the wedding.
Spyro.
You
Done.
can't come to the wedding. You're out.
Dragons are a Renaissance theme.
Yeah, but
Copper
you can't.
bands.
You're out.
Done.
My wedding dress is actually more of a suit situation, but it looks bad. But I don't think I'll update again, as I want to pull all of this behind me, and I don't plan to have any contact with my mother going forward. I'm looking forward to a bright future with my husband. My mom can stay in the past, and as cold and heartless as it sounds, I'm glad she's not going to be my family's problem anymore. And another update post-wedding.
Woo! Here we go.
I never knew dealing with my heavy drinker mother was worthy of a best of post. I just wanted to rant and sanity check myself. Only news on my mother is she's out of detox and currently in a catatonic state, refusing to speak, eat, or drink water. Wow.
Oh no.
Wow.
That's not good.
I mean, it seems like the withdrawal it's just really hard on her. Especially with like all, it seems like she might have bipolar disorder as well. They may install a feeding tube if she doesn't let up. I think she's trying to be dramatic and get attention. So do my uncles. I could be wrong, but honestly, I don't care anymore. I mean, regardless of whether or not she's doing this for attention, she still clearly has a problem because you don't starve yourself unless you have a problem, even if it's to get attention. Like, there is some problem there.
Gandhi?
That's true. Well, I mean, it was for attention, I guess. I mean, good. It was to get attention on a specific issue, but
dude, that's just hard to know.
Yeah. We're not sure she has dementia, but she definitely has something going on, but doing any kind of evaluation while she acts like this is difficult. She also has liver disease, needs dialysis, and probably even a transplant if she qualifies. Wow. The doctors made it very clear if she doesn't quit drinking, she will pass away within the next 5 years, and it may even still be too late. Ooh. This is a lot. Especially when Opie just got married, and to be kind of going through all of this while that's happening.
Yeah.
I think I'd feel more sad, but I've had to realize that I lost my mother long ago. I did invite my mom's boyfriend, but he chose not to come. He's decided to get help for his own booze issues, according to my sister. I wish him the best. Which is kind of what I was thinking. If the mom had that bad of a drinking problem and she was with this person for 7.5 years, unfortunately, usually you kind of have, people who are
A little bit of crossover there. Yeah.
As for the wedding, I'm now happily married, and on Wednesday, I took a pregnancy test that came back positive. Congrats.
Oh, baby time.
Baby time. We're
Little baby.
super excited, but haven't told anyone in our family yet. The wedding was fantastic, and the day went off without a hitch. Congrats. We had a blast and are headed out on our honeymoon on Wednesday to Costa Rica. My brothers and stepbrothers very sweetly hazed my husband during the at-home bachelor party and made it clear they're excited to have another brother. My stepmom did all of the mom stuff during the wedding. That was already planned before all of this. No one snuck in booze. There weren't any scenes. The worst that happened was my sister crying due to all of the stress she's been under. Ugh. I do have some sympathy, but most of it is self-inflicted, though, because she enables. But all in all, it was a great day, and I was surrounded by those I love most. I know a lot of people asked for pics of my wedding suit. I will see if there's some way I can crop identifying stuff from it and post it here once I get my wedding pictures back. Otherwise, I'll figure out a way to post the outfit themselves. That's all I have. I'll try and update after my honeymoon. Now it seems like the baby is coming So no promises.
Now we've got baby update.
Baby updates.
Baby update.
Baby
Baby update.
updates.
We've got a little baby update.
Dang, man. A lot is going on right now for OP. They are having to deal with new baby, new husband.
Yeah, which are good. Good new baby, good new husband.
Good new
bad,
husband. Bad
catatonic mother.
Catatonic mother who's, doesn't see, doctors are not giving her a lot of time to live. That's a lot of weight on you.
Don't drink heavily for the majority of your life, folks.
Don't do that.
It will ruin your health.
But there is an update. I guess this is an update for anyone who's read my previous post, along with another Am I the A-hole question. My 33 non-binary mother, 55 female, had a meltdown that resulted in her being arrested and hospitalized. At the urging of the social worker at the hospital, we found a third party willing to serve as my mother's guardian and filed a petition for guardianship. She's going on disability and will remain on it for the rest of her life. She was recently placed in a long-term psychiatric group home. She has been diagnosed with Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome with encephalopathy. Per the MRI, she has lost quite a bit of gray matter and liver disease. What are those things?
Oh, she lost brain. She got brain melting disease.
Oh.
Dang.
She is 55, and even with liver dialysis, it's unlikely she will see 60. Wow. She is also unlikely to be eligible for a transplant unless the lack of booze reverses her dementia. But it will be a year before we know if there is any sign of that. Even though I'm pregnant with my first, I've decided to be the main point of contact with the guardian. I feel like it's my duty as the eldest child. The problem is my grandma really wants my mother to come live with them, and it's causing conflict with my granddad. He keeps telling her to back off and that we should listen to the experts. My grandma means well and is an immigrant. She comes from a country where care for someone always falls to the family, and government involvement would be seen as bad. For the record, we live in the U.S. She is becoming more and more insistent that someone in the family should take care of her. My granddad, however, says they are too old, in their 80s, and has been angry because he believes my mother did this to herself. I think it's just his way of dealing with the situation and handling grief. He refuses to visit her, and my grandmother can only visit if one of my uncles accompanies her. My grandmother is insisting that my sister or I should allow my mother to move in and take care of her. She even offered to move in too to help. I told her no, that I have to focus on my growing family, and that I don't have the time or resources to take her to dialysis and medical appointments. Nor do I want to handle the conflict when my mother refuses to cooperate. If she decides to drink or has an episode, I don't want my child to be around that.
So I looked it up.
Yes.
The Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, WKS in short, is a serious neurological disorder caused by thiamine vitamin B1 deficiency, often due to chronic alcohol abuse, so that makes sense here, and consists of two stages. The Wernicke's, the short-term acute, the one that was stated, and then there's the Korsakoff syndrome, a long-term chronic memory disorder. Pretty much it's just intense inflammation, swelling of their brain.
Yeah.
So
wow.
it's just none of it's good.
Yeah, I just don't think that sending her to live with the grandparents is going to help.
No, don't listen to that woman. She's just old-fashioned.
Yeah.
And maybe she's Cuban and doesn't trust the government. But I trust you, and you know what? Trust the government a little less. However much you trust the government right now, trust it a little less.
But also trust professionals over 80-year-olds who don't have the means to take care of a very sick woman.
Your mom has a severe chronic neurological condition, and you are starting a family and are having a child. Not the time to take care of a fully grown human who also never prioritized you.
Yeah. And also, you are already taking a lot of responsibility on by being the main point of contact. My sister feels the same way. She wants to focus on her 2 kids and feels like she has already enabled my mother enough. My grandmother did not take the news well. Now, a few of my cousins are calling me and saying that family should care for family. That my mom cared for me as best as she could, and that now it's my turn to care for her. Normally, I'd never let this kind of thing get to me, but the pregnancy hormones are punting in, and I feel awful. Am I the a-hole for refusing to care for my mother and letting a third party be her guardian? No. No, you're not.
No.
I mean, it's just very few people are equipped to deal with this kind of problem. And you should never feel bad about, knowing your limits. Edit. One thing I didn't mention is that it's currently kind of an open secret in my family that I'm pregnant. I haven't officially announced it because I'm only 9 weeks along. I don't want to announce until the second trimester. But my family members are convinced, and I think my grandma suspects that this is the reason for my reluctance. She knows we've been trying. I also want to say that I love my grandma, but she's hurting right now and feels like she has failed her daughter. I'm trying to be as patient as humanly possible with her. I'm reaching my limit, but I don't want to yell at my 80-plus-year-old grandmother. There is a court date to make the guardianship official on Friday. I spoke with the guardian this morning about my grandmother's objections. She suggested that my sister and I sit down with my grandmother, the social worker, and the doctor at my mother's facility to address her concerns and work out a schedule for my grandmother to visit twice per week. She is trying to set that up after the court hearing on Friday. The cousins in question are nosy busybodies, and I don't like them. They are the product of my uncle's previous marriage to a religious zealot who hated our family, and I hated her. I had no problem telling their father what had occurred and sent him screenshots of their text messages. He yelled at them, saying my mother's condition is too severe for her to live with anyone and that they need to stay out of it and mind their business. I told them where to stick it and not to contact my sister or me about this again. I let my hormones get to me yesterday, I think. I'll try to update this weekend. Reddit has become a major sanity check for me, and there is another update.
Update-a-roni number 6. Why don't we,
Let's get into this update. We had the court date. My mother is officially under a guardianship. My grandmother did lodge an official objection to the guardianship and said her piece. She was shut down by the judge, who said the amount of care and security my mother needs is an undue burden on my family, and straight up said family was deemed incapable of caring for my mother by hospital social workers before she was transferred to rehab, which is good that the judge ruled correctly.
We like a judge that rules correctly.
Yes.
That judge rules.
He also said if my mother were deemed competent, she could be looking at felony domestic violence charges. Wow. I doubt she will be ruled competent. My grandma was mad and almost had to be ejected from the courtroom, but she calmed down. The next day, my sister and I took my grandma to the hospital my mom is at. She currently is in rehab / a psychiatric hospital and will be here for at least the next year and possibly for good, depending how the next year goes. Her attending physician and social worker was there along with the guardian, and I discovered they came in on a weekend just to meet with us. That was very nice of them. My grandmother doesn't really object to her being at this facility and knew my mom needed help. It basically became an intervention / come to Jesus moment with my grandma. With the guardian's permission, they sat down and explained all of my mother's health problems. They even went so far as to show my grandma the picture of a normal liver and the MRI scan of my mom's liver. They did the same with her brain. Oof. That is hard. That would be really hard to see, especially as like the mom of this woman. The guardian also sat down and listed just how much legal trouble my mom had been getting herself into the past 2 years. And even my sister and I were shocked as we didn't know just how many brushes with the law my mom had. But they had become almost monthly occurrences. I ended up telling her what some of the fine folks of Reddit told me, that neither my sister or I can keep her safe. What if she becomes aggressive or violent? What if she hurt my sister's kids? We cannot make our place secure enough to stay there. And the only way my mother's life even has a chance at being saved is if she quits drinking. If she lives with us, we cannot guarantee she won't drink. That staff here are better equipped to handle all of her issues. All of us were very clear that none of this is Grandma's fault, and Mom is reaping the consequences for her own choices. Next up was probably the most heartbreaking part for my grandma. She saw my mother for the first time since all of this happened. Now, I may have mentioned that my mother was in a catatonic state when she was hospitalized. She still kind of goes in and out of the state. I didn't take it really seriously at the time, but it's still an ongoing issue, and some days she winds up back into that state, and other days she is more active. That day, she was definitely more subdued and very quiet. For anyone who knows anything about WKS, she basically is living in a 51st date scenario. She has a day, goes to sleep, wakes up, and has no memory of the day before.
That's crazy.
I can only imagine how scary it is for her. Oof.
Think of all the great movies you can watch for the first time over and over again.
I know, but you have no.
It's a horror.
Yeah.
This is a horror story. I was just trying to find something
Some
positive
levity.
to take away from this, please.
Oh.
Ugh, don't drink to excess until your brain melts.
Just
people.
like memory loss
Ah.
in general is so frightening to me because I have both on both sides. I have grandparents, one who's already passed away and the one who's still with us, but who have memory loss, and it's so frightening.
Just learn another language or 3.
I've tried.
Learn as many languages as possible.
Yeah, I mean, actually, my grandma who has dementia knows like multiple
I
languages.
should have known more.
Man, I'll tell her. A staff member basically has to remind her day in and day out where she is and how she wound up there. They keep a copy of the police report on her nightstand. She still is very confused a lot of the time and also getting used to being on medication for her bipolar disorder too. We've seen a lot of improvements since she started liver dialysis, so we're somewhat hopeful she will get a little better in time. She's lost some weight but looks way less put together and haggard. Her skin looks less yellow, but she's very pale. That's also scary, of like having your liver fail, and you get
You get jaundice.
Yeah, jaundiced.
You don't want to be yellow?
No.
Yellow belly.
Scary. She was sitting and trying to write when we came. My grandma broke down when she saw her. My mother cried too and kept repeating, "I'm sorry." Oh. My sister and I decided to let them have some alone time together and grabbed lunch across the street. When we came back half an hour later, we told my grandmother we had to get going and leave, but we'd bring her back next week. My mom asked when she would leave, and it was my grandma who said, "Honey, you'll need to stay here for a while. Everyone here just wants to help, but in order for you to get better, you have to stay here." My mom seemed sad and looked like she was about to cry again, but nodded her head. My sister and I gave her a hug, but I think she's mad at us. One thing we learned is that she thinks her kids put her here. If she wants to be mad at us, that's fine. Not even the second grandma got situated in the backseat of our car. She broke down hard. She was sobbing the entire way back. I felt so bad for her.
Man.
My sister sat back there holding her while I drove back to Grandma and Grandpa's house. We stayed with Grandma for a bit as my grandpa gets agitated by too much emotion. Oof. She apologized for her behavior and for trying to force us to care for her. She realizes now how bad off my mom is and understands she's where she needs to be. She was sad, but doing better by the time we left. My grandpa said he and my uncle will take her to visit on Tuesday, and I took some further advice and suggested we set up a schedule for Grandma to visit 2 times per week. My sister and I agreed we will take her there once per month each, as that's the most we can handle. Anyways, I really hope this is my last update about my mother. What happens now, no one knows, but she's safe and can't hurt me or anyone anymore. And there is, I think, maybe the final or penultimate update of this story. 7.5 months later. Hi, I'm currently 8 months pregnant. Congrats. Child will be assigned female at birth. My spouse and I don't plan on assigning gender at birth and will let them decide as they get older. The pregnancy has gone relatively smoothly. I didn't do a very good job of hiding my pregnancy that first trimester, so by the time I announced I was pregnant, everyone was nonchalant. My spouse and I are planning to have one more child pretty quickly after this is born to complete our family, ideally within the next 18 to 24 months. Baby is due middle of next month. Things have been going well since we got married. My spouse is figuring out that they may be a trans woman. I'm not surprised. I saw this coming. But both of us agreed to wait on any transitioning until we had 2 babies. My family is well. I've been spending more time with my dad and his family, including my aunts, uncle, and my 93-year-old grandmother. My grandfather on my mother's side had a minor stroke. His right arm doesn't move right. Oh, you guys can't catch a break. Jeez. He's
No breaks.
legally blind and can no longer drive, but he can talk and walk, even if it's difficult at times. After that drama with my grandpa, I've been putting a little more distance between my bio-mom's side of the family. I get tired of the dysfunction, drama, and petty fighting. I still love them and their family, but I need to focus on my family and not their dysfunction. I mean, you've gone through so much with all of this. It is very fair to feel that you need a break, especially when you're starting your own family. My mom is not good. Her health is rapidly deteriorating. She's been going for kidney dialysis 3 times per week. In my previous post, I got a little confused. I thought it was liver dialysis, but that's not really a thing. It turns out her kidney function is poor too. She has acute cirrhosis of the liver, and both her kidneys and liver are failing. The chances aren't looking good that she'll qualify for a transplant, as she's been diagnosed with alcohol-related dementia. Without a transplant, her life expectancy is less than 2 years. The plan is to move her into a skilled nursing facility and get her hospice care. On that front, I haven't visited in 6 months. All she really does anymore is stare out the window. She doesn't talk much or get out of bed often. She can barely walk. It was too emotionally draining and stressful to visit her, so I stopped. That may sound heartless, but once again, I need to look out for myself, and there's nothing I can say or do. I thought her being sickly would make me feel something for her, but I only see someone who chose to do this to themselves instead of getting help. I know that isn't fair or necessarily true of a user, but disdain is the only emotion I can muster. My uncle, who is in AA, came to visit her. When he saw her, he said it only strengthened his resolve to stay sober. He saw firsthand what would happen if he didn't. It's sad and somewhat embarrassing. My mother is the poster child for why you stay sober. My sister has taken the lead in keeping up with her needs and visiting. She was always closest to my mom, so it makes sense. That's all I have. Maybe I'll check in again. I might be too busy to do so.
This poster keeps lying about that. They're like, all right, last update.
That's last update.
All right, 4 more updates after that, though.
And it's the most
They say they
freaking...
Oh, I'm too hot.
You're too hot. It's the most freaking, tragic post, too. Oh.
She's going to be like, update. I've developed a condition where every day I wake up and break both my legs. And
I really hope
have
that's
glass bones and paper skin.
This update's gonna be
They're gonna
like
make a movie about me. No, it's gonna
my
be
daughter's doing really well, or my child's doing really well. My partner's amazing, and everyone's happy.
Yes.
That's what this update's gonna be.
That's what it's gonna be, folks. My daughter is now in Juilliard. At the age of 9 years old.
They're a genius. Update 8. Probably the last one. We'll see. For those that still care, I had my baby. She's beautiful. My spouse and I originally planned to have kids back to back, but that seems insane to me now. Yeah, maybe give yourself a break. A lot had just happened.
That is insane.
A lot just happened. I
That's
don't know if
insane.
we necessarily need to jump into another baby immediately.
It's insane.
Because taking care of one baby is pretty difficult.
Look at me. That's insane.
We decided to do IVF and surrogacy for the next one. My gender dysphoria after pregnancy got kind of bad, but not PPD bad, or if it was PPD, that's how it manifested, and I'm doing much better. Good. I'm doing what I can now to feel comfortable with myself, and over the summer, we'll start IVF. After that, my spouse and I are going to transition together. That's cute. I love that. We're going strong. We're still figuring out how to transition with kids, but we'll figure it out. I read my post on Best of Reddit Updates, which was weird. People had questions about why I distanced myself from my mom's side of the family. I came to realize after my grandfather's stroke that there is a lot of drama on that side of the family, and I finally saw the dysfunction for what it was. I don't want my child exposed to that kind of dysfunctional family. For the good of myself as a parent and my child, I decided to set boundaries and keep my distance. I love them, but I cannot handle the dysfunction and the fights. My uncles have actually been understanding and are working to be better. I see and talk to a couple of them on an individual basis. My grandparents, not so much. My grandmother is angry with me and believes my dad and new spouse have brainwashed me.
Brainwash you into what?
Brainwash you into what? I thought you and your grandma were on the same page now. Grandma, what are you doing? She thinks family is family and I need to just accept my family as is. I hope someday I can come back into the fold, but not as things currently stand. Now for the big news. My mother will pass away soon. The plan is to stop dialysis, and she probably won't last more than a day.
Oh, no.
Oh, Her liver has shut down completely. I saw her this weekend to say goodbye. I've never seen yellow skin like that before. I've kept myself out of the loop for my own sanity, so I don't really know when or the logistics. I was just told it's unlikely she'll see Thanksgiving this year. She is unaware of herself and her surroundings. As messed up as it is to say, I think her passing will be a mercy for all of us. Here's what's super messed up. I'm honestly relieved that this is happening. She can't hurt anyone anymore, and most importantly, this problem will finally be over. I know how messed up that sounds. I feel like a monster saying that, but I look at my daughter and realize my own mother chose booze over her children. I can't imagine doing anything like that, and I'm not going to transition into this.
Why?
Oof.
You don't feel like that's a good spot to do that? Don't feel like you can do that? Make that lighthearted?
By the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit left to this very sad story. But my final thought before we read the end is that OP, don't feel bad about, being relieved about this. I think that feelings towards parents who have wronged you repeatedly and then get very, very sick, and you're watching them kind of slowly, get worse and worse. You have the feeling of, one, I've had to deal with this woman my whole life, and also watching that, sometimes it's just better for them to, be released from that pain. So I don't think that you have anything to feel bad about, because that's a really complicated thing to experience.
Yeah, if anything, that feels like a normal reaction.
Yeah. I mean, even when people have normal relationships with their parents, watching them go through something like that is like, honestly, it's just better that
it's just
they
like a
pass.
shell of a person at that point. It's
like,
it's not.
They're not
go
having a good life experience at that point. Yeah, which is really hard to deal with, but So honestly, what good is she to the world at that point? She failed as a mother, and for the past decade, she's been nothing more than an annoying stranger to me. I wish things could have been different, but they weren't, and it will be nice to move on from this once and for all. I don't think there's any need to update on this account again, since my mother will be gone soon. I want to move forward with my life. That said, thank you to everyone, even those who were critical. I get it. I really learned from reading the comments. And I want to say thank you one last time. And that is the end of that story. Ooh. Ming Ming says also OP needs therapy for her resentment and move on without hate in her heart.
That's true.
Absolutely. And that's going to take a lot of time. That's going to take a lot of time to move past that. Because OP was never able to get closure of any kind, because in the process of having those arguments with their mom, that's when all of this went really downhill.
100%.
Yeah. Kat says, I think you have that feeling with anyone you love who has been ill for a long time. Yeah. But that is the end of the episode, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.